Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's give a couple of minutes to our participants who are still joining. Today, we'll have a webinar about drone show creator. So it will be dedicated to beginners as well as more advanced creator users who are already familiar with drone show creator. We will have a Q&A section open. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the Q&A section, and we'll answer them throughout the webinar, as well as maybe a short Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Today, we'll show you two different workflows. One will be for the more typical down-to-earth 100 drone option, what you can easily create with Transfer Creator. And another one will showcase a larger scale option for 2000 drones to just showcase the more advanced or maybe more impressive features of Drone Show Creator that we have. And yeah, I hope it will be useful to you. And yeah, like I said, whenever you have any questions, feel free to write them in the Q&A section. I see that we have roughly the expected number of participants joined us. So yeah, let's then go ahead and start with a short introduction. So yeah, well, the topic of today is what you can build with Drone Show Creator. Today will be hosted by me, Artūrs, and my dear colleague, Germano. We're from Drone Show Technologies at the SPH Engineering. And yeah, let's see what the agenda for today is. So yeah, welcome everyone. We'll have two workflows. First of all, Germano will give you a short introduction about the interface and creator as such. And then he'll walk you through the 100 drones scenario that we have prepared for you to showcase the more typical tools and how to use them on a particular example. And after that, I will follow with the more large-scale show. And finally, we will have a short discussion maybe. And the Q&A, as I mentioned, is open all the time throughout the webinar, so feel free to write any questions there. Okay, let's see Drone Show Creator in action. Our first scenario is going to show you the interface elements, the map and fence overlay. So it means that we have a map in the Drone Show Creator, as well as the ability to set the bounds for your show within the design software. So you can have your design clearly to the necessary limits. We'll show you the typical node types, links, how they connect together, and geometry options, as well as the use of modifiers to set the specific colors or animations, give animations to the nodes, different node types, which are more commonly used, like image node, text node, and also music option. And finally, we'll walk you through the safety checks when you feel that your show is finished, as well as show the different export formats that we currently support in Drone Show Creator. So let me hand over to Germano with his part with the actual live demonstration. Please, Germano.
Hello, everyone. I'm beginning to share my screen. Thank you, Artūrs, for introducing me. I'm Germano, and I would like to say I am not an animator. And one of the questions we get about creator a lot is how much of an animator you have to be to create some nice shows. And I hope to answer from my example that you can come into it from a very basic background and still do fine stuff here. What I want to go through with you today is basically how to make this. Let's look at the show I've created for this 10 times faster than it would play out in real life with our drones. Then let's go step by step with everything that I've done to get this result. As we admire the show, let me show you around the interface. So whether you have animated before, whether you have never animated anything before, the interface is meant to be intuitive. This is a node and timeline-based animation interface. It's quite universal in the world of animation, but here we use it specifically for drone shows. So everything about Creator is optimized so you can run your creations on drones. First, we see here a timeline. So every show has to have a duration. Here, if we look a little bit out, begins at 0, ends at 9 minutes, 15 seconds, which is a reasonable duration for a drone show, using today's technology, how far and how long the drones can fly. The node is the most, let me switch to editor mode here where we're actually building stuff. Each node, if we look here, is the basic building block of a drone show. A node is nothing more than a formation of drones in 3D space. 3D space here is this set of coordinates. If you're already familiar with flying drone shows, you will know that the 0, 0, 0 point in the world of Creator in its local coordinate system corresponds exactly to the dense center that you set in the drone show software when you're about to fly. And each node is a form, a figure set in time. It's the disposition of your drones in space. So with sets of nodes, we create our animation across time. And then we have to link them together because each node leads to another. So we pick out the drones from, for example, the starting grid, which is a very traditional one. Nowadays, with Quick Start, you're not restricted to making a grid at the beginning and the end anymore. You can make any figure, but here we went traditional because many of you are still flying the old ways with controller, and then it has to be a grid. But let me just sow that idea in your minds that you can now start thinking of making other figures for your start and finish nodes. The first transition, let's go back to player mode, is from my starting grid to some image. Now this is an interesting and new feature of the latest 2026.1.1 version of Creator. We have optimized our image capabilities to make these sorts of dotted images. And this is interesting because as I was building this, I went to one of our AI tools that are popping everywhere. And I asked it to make a pointwise image of a beer can, a generic one. And I told it it has to be 2D, it's going to be for a drone show, and I want each point to be of a certain color. And then it came up with this. So this has more drones. It has 200 and something, and I have a fleet of 100. So let's see what design choices I had to make. If we click on the node that we're editing, we'll look at the image here. Let's make this bigger. And since I had less drones to work with than I would in an ideal situation of having all the drones for that image, which is what you're going to go through every day in your career as drone show animators and drone show operators, I started editing what the base image was. For example, I had to delete many drones from the sides, from the bottom, from the top. I was saving up where I could to get those exact 100 drones. And but the first thing Creator does is it populates your image with a certain distribution of drones. And I'm not going to change anything here, but I can show you the menus. So now we have many distribution types. If you mouse over them, you will actually see a detailed explanation of each. The best one for this sort of image was dots. So there's that. Another question we got in the registration form, which is something I can address right now, is what to do with the colors of the drones during the transitions. Oh, let me just rebuild this real quick. So I told you about nodes, and between nodes, these transitions are called links. This is when the drones are forming up from one image to another. If you see here, you see that you don't see much. And that was a design choice of mine. I wanted the drones to go from their starting grid quietly, discreetly, to the beer can to take everyone by surprise as they light up again. And here is a nice place as any to introduce modifiers. So each node and each link has a set of modifiers for color and movement. This is where if the node is just, I made a slight change, so I have to build again. If the node is just the formation of the drones in space, the modifiers are what let us make some movement within that formation and add color. So here you see the color of the drones is just a basic white, but then on top of it, I add a red beat. And it's not just red, it comes with a gradient. Again, I'm not going to touch this in real time because I'll have to rebuild it every time I change anything. But here with gradients, you can make your own color ramp across time. So from 0, they begin as black, which is no LEDs turned on. Well, in this case, that's not entirely true. There is the base color, which is white, so they'll be white with no other color added on top. And they end up as red. So by the end of the node, by the end of the beat cycle here, which is 60 BPM, so 60 beats a minute, they are red. And you can go really crazy in editing colors with all different forms, beats, garlands, waves, random colors. We'll see more of them as we go on. And also, we'll cover position soon. The question was, can I do that with links? And the answer is yes, you can. If we look from the starting grid to my beer can, I wanted the drones to be dark. In the night sky, you won't see anything. You don't see anything right now, which is exactly what I wanted, because I wanted this impact here. Now, if we go forward, you see the beer can rotates. That's also a modifier. If we look that over, we go to the beer can's modifiers here, there is rotation. So you also look, we can graphically choose, I think player mode will be a little bit more elegant here, which axis the whole image is going to rotate around. And its speed, velocity, 4 meters per second. So the outermost drones will be 4 meters per second linear speed whilst rotating. The drones that are further in will be a little bit slower. Well, you know how things, complex shapes spin. And if we go to editor mode, you can see we could drag this axis around, or we could change the position of this axis numerically. So whether you're going for eyeballing it, or whether you're doing this precisely to the centimeter, you can do both ways of animating things. Usually a mix is the best. Maybe I would eyeball the axis to its correct position, then make some fine adjustments numerically here. Now we transition to another moment. I have to build this again. I'll have to be rebuilding this a lot. And here, if we look, there are two new things. Two things are going to happen in parallel. There are going to be two rings, as you saw at the very beginning. And that means we have to divide our drones between the two rings. So we had an image composed of all the 100 drones. Now each ring will have 50. So there are two links going out. And these links are actually lit up. In this case, I wanted the drones to be apparent with their white LEDs. as they went from beer can to rings. Now is also a nice time to show you another thing, music. So I did my best, not being a professional animator, to synchronize this music with the lights. This music comes from a Creative Commons repository, so it's perfectly legal to use right here. Let's see if we can listen to it. Set playback speed back to normal, and let's enjoy. I don't think, of course, I'm not hearing it because you have to come here and then mute the music. So if we come here, I hope you can listen to the music, and I hope it's not too loud next to my voice, but here you go. So from this moment on, music plays, and I kind of manually made it sync with the rings. If we look at the rings from above, one of them is going to go through the other, so it has to shrink a bit. And then once it's clear, it's going to expand back to its original size as the music beats on. Let me pause here again and show you the inner workings. If we go back to our tab with the modifiers, there's a lot going on with the rings. First, they have their natural white colors. Then there is a beat of different colors. So each of them, this one I made blue to green. The other one I made yellow to red, really just to show you all the color ranges that there are. And now we see many things. We see all three movement modifiers composed into one elegant figure per ring. Here, what's happening? If we look at the ring which is now lower, which began higher, you see, let me unmute the music again because it's just going to get in the way now. The drones are rotating along that central axis, so they're going on in a file. Now the whole formation is also coming down and the other one going up. Finally, their whole circle is shrinking to a smaller radius so it can pass through the bigger ring without any drones crashing. So here we see rotation as the drones rotate around their axis, scale as they shrink and then go back to their original size, and position because the whole formation, the whole shape, the whole node is going vertically down. This is really, it may look impressive, and it really is. It goes to show how easy it is to make these things with Creator. This scenario here is just like 10% of what you can do if you get creative with this. So here is a nice way of using very basic geometry, a very small fleet, 100 drones, to make something quite impressive. What's next? What's next is a spiral. And here again, this is a default stock piece of geometry that ships with Creator. If we look at its parameters here, we can set its top radius, its bottom radius. So you see the top gets narrower. You can, for example, make a very nice Christmas tree using just the spiral, the basic spiral. If we make this one really small and this one really big and make a height that's longer, you've got your Christmas tree. Then you can add another node with a little star and really, with very basic tools, make very impressive results. Here, there is nothing new technically from what we've seen with the rings. And the next is text. But let me pause here and show you something that's going to be very important as you work with this in real time. Usually, you know where you're going to post your show, run your show, right? Although Creator is meant to be universal, any show you make here is going to be portable. You can run it anywhere in the world. It's not hard-coded that it will serve only for that backyard of that venue. Still, you can use a map. Here, I've set the map beforehand to save time. And we're going to run it in our own backyard of the SPH office in Riga. If you're curious, the two of us are right here where this cursor is. That's where we're talking to you from, all over the world. And I know that I want to host my show somewhere here at the closest end of our peat field, which serves for all our test flights. And if you look closely, you'll see that the grid is not on the ground. It's a little bit further up. I set the height relative to the ground to around 15 meters. But this really helps, as I'm sure you will agree, to design your show knowing where you're going to run it. But this is just a creative aid. It's a visual representation. It doesn't restrict you to fly only there. And another thing, if you were at our safety webinar about a month and a half ago, you will have heard until exhaustion about the geofence. Here we can also turn on the fence. I've set this one beforehand as well. And I've set its height to 120 meters, which is as high as we can go in most jurisdictions. That's for our dear American listeners around 400 feet. So here I also have a fence, but this fence on Creator, again, is just a visual aid for you to animate. The fence you set on the drone show software is the one that's actually going to be enforced by the drones. So Creator, you see Creator is really fine-tuned to help you along with the realities of drone shows in mind. And there is our next figure. Our next figure is text. And here is another thing you'll be doing quite a lot in designing drone shows. Sometimes you cannot or do not need all the drones for your figure, and you need some drones to just hang around in reserve, right? If we look closely, I have some 12 drones in reserve. They have their LEDs turned off. No one will notice them in the night sky. They're just waiting around for the rest of the drones to run their figure. Here it's text. Let's see what we can customize about text. If we look here, down to the right, bottom right corner of the screen, you will see I have a font as input. You can include any font as an asset and then make your drones write that text in that font. Then you write out the text you want to be shown. In this case, it's Creator, and then some other quite text-based options such as pixel size, font size, letter spacing, the kind of things you would see in a word processing document applied to drones. Really neat, isn't it? Now the drones are forming up for another sort of text. Here they form up into a screen. Let's speed that up a little bit. And running text, like you see on many screens. What comes to mind to me is train stations and the like. They have this sort of text that runs through screens. This is often useful if you have a lower amount of drones. You could run a text of any length as long as you have enough time in a screen that's about the amount of drones you have. In this case, 98, 14:7 screen. Finally, we go back to imaging, and let me show you this butterfly here. This is a very simple sketch, really. You could take, for example, your child's drawing for their 8-year birthday. They drew it themselves, and you can animate that with drones, and you can do quite a lot of things. Here they light up into the way I've colored them. But what I wanted to showcase here is that if we go back to modifiers, here I have the main body of the butterfly, I have the left wing, I have the right wing doing different things at the same time. So again, you can take a 2D image and make something akin to 2.5D or even 3D just by using modifiers in a clever way. Finally, we reach the end of my first scenario. Here, what we'll see is the drones forming back up for landing. And remember, now that we have quick start, it doesn't have to be a grid at the end or at the beginning. You can also make a figure. Here, we've made a grid to keep it understandable for everyone who's been flying with us for longer and those who are just coming in. This was the basic scenario, although it may not sound basic. I hope this was enough to impress upon you how much we can do with quite a few drones. Now Artūrs is going to come in with the dream scenario of having thousands of drones and what cool things you can do with those. So thank you very much. I'll be in the background helping to answer your questions. Over to you, Artūr.
Germano, can I kindly ask you to show the export options and also
yes.
the safety checks?
It's good to have colleagues that remind you of important things.
Yeah, because we also have a question on the Q&A regarding the safety checks.
Let's cover that right now then.
Thank you.
All right. Speaking of safety, the first thing we look at is here, the show settings. You can either set them per show or you can set them on creator itself right here as overriding options. That will be the default, and then you would change them per show from a certain default. What do we see here? Here are the real life constraints that we have to bear in mind as we animate a show. What frame per second we're going to use for position and color, but mainly what minimal distances the drones have to keep from each other to remain safe. In my case, is 2.5 meters, which is usually the case in most fleets. Horizontal speed, how fast the drones can be going horizontally. Maximum ascent speed, how fast they can move vertically up, vertically down, and rotation speed in degrees per second, how fast they can spin. So if at any point of the animation, and now I think I can go around and break things because the animation is done. If we violate these constraints, let's put a drone really close to the other ones at the wing of the butterfly. Creator starts showing us some error messages. Impossible to build. Distance constraints violated. So one drone here is too close to the others. It won't let us build. You can see building is grayed out now until we address that problem. Now that we have addressed that problem, the error message is gone and we can build again. And once we've built the show, it's ready to export. Now, the native format for running drone shows in the drone show software is Path3, the current version of path files. Each drone will get an individual path from this whole animation, so we can expect exactly 100 paths from here. And then we can export it. And then we work in our own Windows file system and then on drone show software, whether it's controller or quick start, to run this show out of the path files. Also, we have some new formats, CSV, vviz, and depends for other animation suits and runtime suits. So this has become more versatile. That was it about safety very, very fast. Again, you can look on YouTube and hear us speaking an hour and a half about safety and on exporting out of creator so we can finally get this beauty to the drones. I think that was it for the scenario. Over to you, Artūr.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, I think this is the best way to answer this question just live because written form it won't be this clear. Okay, so let me switch over back to the presentation. Okay, so that was the first scenario we had prepared for you guys, and I have another scenario here for you, which will touch on the following aspects. So, using drones as a projection screen. So, how to use that as a huge screen in the sky with a video overlay. Then importing the meshes, and as a suggestion, how you can come up with a specific mesh for your needs and what you can do with it in the drone show creator. Then that you can also color the mesh in a specific way, and also QR code tool that we have. And in general, this will touch on larger scale shows. So let me switch over to the actual creator. Okay, so since these features that I mentioned are more relevant to large scale shows, I have here prepared a show for 2000 drones. But not necessarily that you need this many drones for all of these features to work nicely. So let me start with the first feature that I have here, which is the video overlay. So basically, I have here just a grid of drones, and I just created some AI videos with some nice color animations, etc. So yeah, just to showcase how you can, yeah, you can use it in different ways. So not only if you need to color your grid, which is quite boring shape, obviously, but you can also use the video overlay to color other nodes as well. So if you have a mesh or any other node, actually, you can overlay with a video. So yeah, just as another example, as Germano showed, you have the different color node types or animation types as garland or gradient or random. This is another option as well, so which is maybe a bit more interactive, where you can, have a bit more freedom or more dynamics specifically to color the drones. Okay, so next after that, what I've done here, I have created a mesh, as it was also mentioned on the Q&A, to showcase the 3D features, which you can import. And here you can already see that's quite a large one. Yeah, so obviously to have something like a face, or yeah, also with a head cover and stuff like that, you obviously need a lot of drones. Yeah, again, same as Germana, I'm no animators. This is my, I think, my first attempt at this, so take it with a grain of salt. And just let me briefly show you how I came up with this mesh. So what I did, I just found a picture that I would like to try and using for this application. And from that picture, I used an online picture to mesh tool, which I think worked quite nicely. Actually, it was a free tool. I did try quite a few different ones. Another more, I think it was a paid option, produced a better outcome, but yeah, it was paid, and yeah, this one for this demonstration purposes, I think is fine. So as you see, it's an actual, yeah, like a 3D mesh, but in my animation, I'm not using the whole of the mesh, so I'm just using the front part of it. So the actual visual part. So that's a quite interesting way that we can also work in the creator by specifying a specific viewpoint from which the drones should be positioned. So here in the mesh properties or mesh node properties, I have the mesh asset here, and I can also specify a specific camera position right here. So if I go to editor, I have also the options to position the nodes in a specific planes. So they are positioned more in a regular way. So we have different options for that as well. So we have like a slicing, and we have also random options to position the drones. And yeah, in particular, this option to position the drones that are only visible to the viewers, I think it's also quite nice and useful because obviously to, cover the whole back of the mesh is not necessary, and it would take, huge amounts of drones to make it useful. So yeah, that's the mesh. And additional to that, I have used the picture projection for this because as you saw, my mesh was without colors, so it was a single color. And to make the drones to show colors, I obviously had to use this. So here again, yeah, you can use a picture or also you can use a video for this, but yeah, a picture I think worked well in this case. Additional to that, I remember that there was a question about moving the camera within Drone Show Creator. And yeah, good point that to move the camera in the creator is a bit different than in the SS controller, but the movements, I think they're the same, or the controls to move the camera are the same as in, let's say, Blender. But just briefly, to pan the camera, you can hold the middle mouse button. Oh, no, panning, I think it's this one. So you need to hold Shift and middle mouse to pan up or down. Then to change a pitch and you just hold middle mouse button. And yeah, I think by dragging the mouse while holding Shift and middle mouse, you can move around in 3D space. So those are the basics just to help you navigate this. But I think there's also a reset camera button here. So whenever you feel lost in the 3D view, you can click on reset to get yourself back to the default position of the camera. Okay. That was that. And finally, I created a QR code. So with the QR codes, you need to be a bit specific. So although many times they work to scan them, but sometimes it's quite hard to get the angle right. So what we found is, first of all, that you need quite a lot of drones to just like the minimum hard limit for a number of drones is around 600 for a QR code to work, depending on the length of the text, so or the URL that's typically used. Although you could use a URL shortener maybe for this one to have a lower number of drones, I think still around 600 drones is the minimum that you need for a QR code to work. And then you need to be quite specific with the angle at which you scan it. So we found that just have it in straight up vertically is not always the best option. So maybe a little bit tilted angle is better to be able to scan it. So yeah, sometimes it does work, sometimes not. But I think that if you want to apply it to your actual show, then do a few tests and see which particular position and alignment works best to to scan it, and to actually scan it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I think that was it from my side. Yeah, for this one, actually, I did use 2 videos, so we can just scroll back to the animation, beginning of the animation, because again, I used a free tool, and there was a limit of 8 seconds that I could generate it. So I just I used 2 different videos to have like one like a more geometric effect and one more on a logo sort of thing going on. Yeah. So that's that. That's how the video overlay works. So you'll want to position the video. You can set the size and angle, and the borders of the video to match the drone form. All right. So yeah, from my prepared scenario, that's about it. Yeah, you can use these QR codes to reach our academy resources. So we have a few courses about Drone Show Creator, as well as Drone Show software version 5. And yeah, that you can find on our academy. Let's see if we have something that would be interesting to answer live. Okay, yeah, another question about the distance between drones. So yeah, this is actually a good question. Yeah, so we advise first of all to go, let's say 2.5, but most of the shows are being done at a 2 meter distance. So yeah, I'd say 2, or you can go even a little bit less than 2 if you feel safe and you're confident about your fleet. But general guidelines would be 2.5 to 2. Yeah, okay, I found my image to mesh tool that I used. I just used imgto3d.ai. So img2 3d.ai. So yeah, that one worked quite well, and it's free, and I didn't see any limit of attempts per day or something like that. Yeah, like I see another question about object files. So yeah, we do support object files, I think, as well. Maybe Mike can chime in on the particular mesh formats that we support. But yeah, I think object. Yeah, this was object file that I was actually using. So yeah, that was an object file. A couple more questions coming in.
I'm answering some of them in text while you speak.
Yeah, perfect, guys. Yeah, but
question. Artūrs, there is a question from Yudi. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. What are recommended server requirements to run the software?
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, that's something that we discussed earlier today because yeah, I don't have a very powerful workstation for this demonstration, so I was pushing the limits with 2,000 drones on it for Drone Show Creator. Okay, so I would say that if you plan on designing a show for a typical number of drones, let's say 100, 200, 300, 400, even 500 drones, I think you can get away with like a decent laptop, something that's like Intel Gen 10, like i5, i7, something like that, or newer. So yeah, like nothing out of the ordinary. I'd say 16 gigabytes of RAM is okay. Whereas if you want to go, let's say, 1,000 drones or even more, then you may want a more powerful workstation, which focuses on single thread performance right now. So also we will be optimizing the work with larger scale shows in the upcoming Drone Show Creator versions. So yeah, that's something we do constantly. So we take any feedback very, very seriously. And yeah, that's how we are able to turn your ideas into new versions like every month. So, but yeah, I would say like for the typical number, just a decent, powerful workstation is okay. But if you want to push the limits of thousands of drones, you want to, more emphasis on your CPU power, and another thing, if you just designing for a typical number of drones, you don't need to worry about a dedicated graphics card. Integrated card is fine, but yeah, maybe for a larger scale, you can consider a dedicated card, but not that you need to get the most powerful one.
Okay, thanks. Another question. Other courses to learn how to utilize the software? You shared the links already. And the last question from Yudi, can the software be used during a live show? There is another software to
Yeah,
use a live show.
good question. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that like people have used the software even like 5 minutes before the show. So yeah, obviously we have two different pieces. So we have the design phase of the show, which is before the show, but during the show we use the control software, the drone show controller or a quick start. So if you're like considering like modifying a real time performance in real time, that's not possible yet. But yeah, I mean, if you consider changing your design shortly before the show, yeah, that is possible, but not the best practice.
I see a question about the map. I think I could reshare my screen and show it.
Perfect.
It comes from Andrew Bowen. Can you talk more about the ground map to see where the show is relative to the viewer? There are some more cool things about the map that I haven't shown you. So let's try to address that. First, let me show you openly what it looks like. So if we go to Preferences, Map, here we can choose between two base maps, whether OpenStreetMap, which is truly open source, or the Google Map satellite imagery. So here you can see I have Google Maps. If I switch to OSM, we get this. And then you have to pick your point in an external map service. That would be the best way. So whether you set a point on Google Maps and OpenStreetMap and get the latitude and longitude, enter each of them here. You can set how big the map is going to be. So here we have a kilometer off, 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer tile. And then you set the show altitude above ground. So I have here 15 meters off of whatever ground level is. And I know that in our backyard, ground level is around 11 meters. So 26 above median sea level, which is 15 relative. And an important thing is the map rotation. This was something I kind of eyeballed. If I had it at 0, then we would be looking north, which is not what's going to be at showtime. So I eyeballed it all the way to 56. Let me switch back to satellite. There is one thing that is really cool. You can bind your camera to the ground. So here now I'm a person walking around ground level. What is my show going to look like? For example, the beer can. Oh boy, I have to crane my head real high. That is a check you would be doing in real life. Whether you're still on Creator in the comforts of your office, still animating this thing, or you're already at a more advanced step of planning, which is to actually visit the venue and get an idea of these things. For example, where to set my audience, how far up I have to look. So setting the camera to the ground, to the level of a person. This is, I think, is 2 meters off of ground level. Is a really nice thing to do as you're animating. And then I can free up the camera again and fly away again. I hope that covered the question about the map.
Perfect.
Thanks, Germana. Kevin is asking, how large are the font size in real life? For instance, how large is 10-point font with 1.5 meter spacing?
I think for the exact math of it, I would have to ask Mike, who is patrolling the chat and answering questions.
And maybe it's even easier just to design a node with this setting and measure it in the creator. Yeah, I think it's quite hard to
Try and get an idea.
Yeah.
Let's simply answer, it's huge.
It's big, look. And I've even made it bigger by scaling it out. But let's try and measure stuff.
Yeah, you have the measurement.
I have to be reminded I think it's only in editor mode. Again, in editor mode, you get a more technical and design-based view of what you're doing with each node. Here, eyeballing it, let's look at the R.
I think there's a ruler.
I can't seem to find my ruler.
As an icon in the 3D view.
Oh, there it is. Look, hiding in plain sight. Let's look at the R. 9 meters. Pixel size, what can we get? So, okay. Between two letters, I have 3 meters. Between two drones in the same letter. So it's constant as long as it's, of course, horizontal or vertical. Here is, of course, the distance. Now let's see between letters, between the end of one and the beginning of the other, 10 meters. Where do we have 10? Font size is 10, but I don't think that will be the case because the T here, we could work this out empirically, but maybe Mike has the exact mathematical answer. But what I glean here is pixel sizes being 3 meters means this distance between two drones in the same letter, because each drone will be a pixel. Letter spacing of 4. Where do we get 4 from here? Anyway, lots of experimenting. Let's see if Mike has the mathematical answer in text.
Still the questions. Still some questions coming in with some context already. As mentioned, we have different positioning algorithms for the 3D models in place. Actually, there's the following options. I think it was sliced and edge options. I think on plane options. So just you need to try. Basically, you can apply for the creator trial and use it for a while, try it out as well. And again, if there's something missing or you think of some feature that you find could be very useful, please don't hesitate to message us and ask for something new in the software.
Because really it is you guys who drive innovation here. Many features come from feature requests from clients, solving real life situations and pushing the envelope of creativity and safety.
Still some questions from Philip. Are shapes or formations always designed in this 2D view, or is it possible to design 3D formations with safety in mind? Not like a real 3D, it's more like 2.5D.
Yeah.
But I believe that the shape that Artūrs showed.
Well, the thing about 2.5D that Artūrs showed, the bust of the pharaoh, is that one was designed for being looked at from one direction, which means everything that's in the back we can save up on the amount of drones because it's not being shown. But we can also make fully 3D shapes that will rotate or that you can look from any perspective and it will still be that 3D shape. But the question was automatic drone placements. Yeah, we have several algorithms to solve different situations, whether it's full 3D or 2.5D, or even a 2D projection of a 3D scene, which is also kind of what Artūrs showed. Basically, all options are on the table. Is there a max number of drones? Really? I think our record is at, remind me of the numbers. Is it almost 7,000 or is that an old record already?
It's almost 6,000.
Almost 6,000. That's the maximum number of drones that has been run with our software currently. But that's not the technical limit. You can go higher. Is there a way to save a node as an asset for future use? Yes, there is. And even smaller elements such as the color gradient can also be saved as a separate asset and reused. You can also take whole sequences of one show, save them as assets, and reutilize them in other shows. So here it's really meant to be as modular as possible, so you can reuse elements of one part of your creation in another part.
They can't stop asking questions.
Do we have a favorite drone? Well, my favorite drone doesn't do dances, but Creator is used for all sorts of drones. Well, it doesn't depend on the drone model at all. As long as you can run it in DSS, it will work.
And I guess that's the last question from Olympia. What tools does the DSC have that help me exploit the potential of 3D figures? Mesh, as we discussed.
Yeah. See,
Mesh will be the workhorse. Yeah.
See also Mike is typing the answer. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for your interest in our products, and also the intention to learn new things. That's been a pleasure, and I hope it was useful for everyone. Yeah, let's keep in touch.
See
And
you
don't
in the
forget
skies.
to check the academy as well. Thank you, guys.